Now, here's where it's going to get. This is the last one I have, but this is a big one. Vanessa, you mentioned at some point the quote, this Jedi philosopher stuff doesn't work for everyone. And then at the end, there's another quote that says about Sabine, who says, I think it's Kanan or somebody says, you're sounding more like a Jedi than a Mandalorian to Sabine. Now, here's where it's going to get a little interesting. After watching Ahsoka season 1, we know that Sabine eventually does train as a Jedi under Ahsoka. My opinion when I was watching Ahsoka season 1 is that making a Jedi kind of was the last thing that I would have expected, having watched 4 seasons of Rebels and seeing her story arc through Rebels. So rewatching and seeing this episode for the first time in a decade, hearing these 2 lines, was it in the plan for Sabine, if Rebels had continued on, to go down a Jedi path, or was that an invention to sell more lightsabers in the last couple of years? And are you even able to answer that?
I'll say it was absolutely not the plan. As a matter of fact, we had a discussion in actually season 3 about whether that, and we actually felt that we really felt not only did it step on Ezra's story, but it was like a retread of, okay, we already did this. You know what I mean? So yeah, the idea of Sabine training as a Jedi when she is already, this fantastic warrior of her own type, we felt like, well, this is overkill. So honestly, I had nothing to do with the Ahsoka series. So I was shocked because pretty much, our entire story team, we discussed it in season 3. We thought it was a bad idea. We kind of did a pros and cons list, and we were like going, yeah, this is just kind of like a weak retread. Why is Sabine, why would we push that way? However, what I love about the story with the Darksaber is you don't have to be a Jedi to have Jedi ideals and embrace the Jedi philosophy. And I think that's what's really like the more important thing, rather than, okay, now I'm going to, force push Ezra, 100 feet when I've never used the Force before. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. It's a weird thing. In my mind, you kind of see Sabine already pick up the leadership mantle. She does it when they go, to Mandalore. So she comes into her own from being that kind of mercenarial, I'm going to be the mercenary, Mandalorian warrior, versus like, oh wait, I'm part of this bigger fight against oppression, and I can be a leader, not in I'm commanding troops, but just by demonstrating, the leadership skills, right? Which is, leading the charge or inspiring the people around her by her courage, and her, and her, who she is as a person, as a strong person. So yeah, I felt that it really kind of diminished her, trying to make her a Jedi, because she doesn't need it. Yeah. She doesn't need to use the Force, right? So anyway, that's my opinion. But so it was definitely a shock to me too to see her, suddenly training. And I think people expect a certain kind of story when you're telling a Star Wars story, and I think that probably is what influenced why you got that story in the Ahsoka series, which is like, oh, we want to bring this character in, but what do we do with them? And I think that's probably like part of the decision. But I think there was also, and I can't speak to the truth of this, but when I think about it, I'm going like, oh, everybody is a Jedi. You know what I mean? Versus like, I don't know. I feel like when everybody's a Jedi, nobody's a Jedi. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel, which is like, no, like Han Solo never needed to turn on a lightsaber except when he was going to cut open a tauntaun, right? Like it's that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like in my mind, yeah, I I don't think you need to have the variety of characters. I think, and the specialness to who they are as individuals is what makes Star Wars amazing to me. So, and I don't know the constraints or whatever, but the idea that they wanted to push forward another lightsaber wielding character, that there's something to that, I'm sure. You know what I mean? So I just would have fought it tooth and nail.
Yeah.
I think when you have like as diverse a writing team as we had on Rebels, and we had people who were like more comedy people, but then we had people who were like more kind of science fiction people and more fantasy. Like every time I staff up a room, I like to bring in people, at least like everybody around me, somebody who's better at me one thing. You know what I mean? So like I can like put all of their talents to use and go, oh, you know what? We're going to do a conspiracy. So we're going to use that writer because they're really good at writing that kind of like cool, weird stuff. And then, we're going to do a creature episode. Oh, they love or droids. They love droids. So I think, you cast writers just like you do, actors.